Okay, so we're diving into something pretty big today. We're talking about AI in research. Everyone's hyped about the possibilities. But what if, and just imagine this for a sec, what if those big discoveries, the medical breakthroughs and all that, what if they were based on, well, fiction?
Whoa, that's a scary thought.
It is, right.
Yeah.
And that's the unsettling possibility with these AI hallucinations everyone's talking about.
Hmm.
We're not just talking about chatbots going rogue here. This is about AI potentially worming its way into the core of actual scientific papers.
Yeah, those papers that essentially shape like all scientific progress. Oh.
Exactly. So to really unpack this, we're going straight to the source. A commentary titled, get this, Authors should be held responsible for artificial intelligence hallucinations and mistakes in their papers. Right. And it's by Louis Jagre, a young researcher himself, published in the Journal of the Practice of Cardiovascular Sciences.
So someone really embedded in the world of research is raising a red flag.
He is, and what's fascinating is Jure's not anti-AI. He actually acknowledges its potential, especially for new researchers just starting out.
Sure, makes sense. It can be a powerful tool.
Totally. But, and this is key, he's saying, hold on, just because you can use AI in your research doesn't mean you're off the hook if things go sideways.
It's like that old saying, with great power.
It comes great responsibility. Exactly. And Jure argues that researchers have this fundamental duty to ensure the integrity of their work, even with AI in the mix.
Okay, so how does he see that playing out practically?
Well, he makes this really interesting analogy to driving.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
So you wouldn't get a free pass for causing an accident just because your GPS told you to turn left into oncoming traffic, right?
Definitely not.
Exactly. And for Jire, it's the same principle with AI in research. You're still responsible.
Makes sense, but it feels way more straightforward with driving. How does that responsibility translate to the world of academic publishing?
Right, because like you said, it's not always so clear-cut.
Yeah, and research can be so complex.
Totally. And that's what we're going to dig into. So how does this responsibility actually look in practice?
I'm all ears.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
Jerry argues this isn't just about academics, keeping their own house in order.
You're saying it affects everyone.
Exactly. This potential for AI to mess with the truth,
Mm.
that impact all of us.
True, we depend on good information for so much.
Right. Like, think about it. Medical breakthroughs, the environment, even just like what you buy at the store.
We base decisions on that information all the time.
All the time.
Mm.
But if AI is suddenly making stuff up, even in research, how do we know what's real anymore?
That's unsettling when you put it like that. It's hard enough already.
Tell me about it. And Gary doesn't hold back. He calls it an infodemic threat.
An infodemic, like a disease of bad information.
Exactly. This idea that AI could actually make the spread of misinformation even worse. That we
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to tell fact from fiction.
Oh, wow. I can see why that's a big deal. And I imagine AI makes it even harder to spot those errors, right?
Exactly. It's not always as obvious as, like, a chatbot going off on some wild tangent.
Right, right. It's probably more subtle than that.
Exactly. It can be woven into the research so sneakily that you might miss it.
And the stakes are higher than ever. Like you said, important decisions are made based on this information.
Absolutely. If we can't trust the information coming from research, then, well, what can we trust?
Right. It's like the whole foundation crumbles, not just for people, but for like society as a whole.
Exactly. So we've talked about the problem, this AI-fueled infodemic, but are there solutions? Gure seems to be pushing for a pretty big change in how we approach research, wouldn't you say?
For sure. He's saying researchers really need to understand the risks of AI and then actually do something about it.
It's more than just being careful then.
Way more. It's a whole different way of thinking, really.
Okay, so what does that look like in reality? What can researchers actually do to make sure they're being responsible with AI?
Well, Gure has a few ideas.
Give me.
First up, way more fact-checking. And I don't just mean the way it's done now.
You're talking next level fact checking.
Exactly. Meticulous reviews, but also, get this, maybe even AI detection software.
So like using AI to keep other AI in check.
Exactly. It's like a plagiarism checker, but for fabricated data.
Wow. That's fascinating.
What else?
Education is huge too. Universities, research institutions, They need to step up.
Provide some training wheels for this new AI world.
Yeah, but it's more than just teaching people how to use the tools, you know?
It's about understanding the risks, the biases, all of that.
Exactly. Researchers need to be totally aware of the ethical stuff too, not just how to, work the software.
So it's almost like they need to become detectives themselves, like digital detectives trained to spot AI trickery. Yeah, I like that. They can't just take the AI's word for it anymore. They've got to be critical.
Question everything.
Exactly.
It's kind of like we're at this crazy crossroads, right?
Totally.
We've had this scientific method relying on human brains for so long.
Like centuries.
And now AI is here like, hey, I can do that too. But we don't have the rule book yet.
It does feel like we're trying to build the plane while we're flying it, doesn't it?
Exactly. Like, how do we make sure research stays pure, with this whole new AI thing in the mix?
It's like every other big tech shakeup in history, right? We figure it out as we go, but there are always growing pains.
So what's a good example of that?
Well, take the printing press, right? Revolutionized how we share information.
Everyone could suddenly access knowledge.
Exactly. But it also meant misinformation could spread like wildfire.
Oh yeah, fake news isn't exactly a new thing.
Nope. So it took time, new rules, new ways of thinking to make sure people could trust the printed word.
So we're basically playing catch-up, doing the same thing now with AI.
Pretty much. It's not just about inventing fancy AI catching software.
It's bigger than that.
Way bigger. It's about changing how we think, building that critical thinking muscle in researchers especially.
Being skeptical.
Yeah.
Like even of what the AI spits out.
Exactly. So Jury's point, it's more than just, hey, be careful. It's like a call to action,
To everyone, researchers, people reading their work, all of us.
Absolutely. We all have a role in making sure we're using AI responsibly.
So to wrap up today's deep dive, let's leave our listeners with something big to chew on. Jairi says researchers are ultimately responsible for making sure their work is solid, even with AI in the picture. So what new skills, what new support systems do we need to make that happen? What needs to change?
That's the question, isn't it? Should universities have whole classes on AI ethics now?
Right. Like AI Ethics 101.
Exactly. Or do we need, specialized peer review where other experts are checking for AI stuff?
The whole new world we're stepping into, huh?
It is. And it's exciting, don't get me wrong. AI has huge potential.
Huge.
But we can't forget that AI doesn't come with a moral compass.
Yeah.
We have to be the ones to use it wisely.
So true. Well said. And on that note, thanks to everyone for joining us for this deep dive. Keep those brains turned on. Keep asking those tough questions, and I'll catch you next time.